Coral Gables, one of the most prestigious and timeless neighborhoods in all of South Florida. Wide, tree-lined streets, old Spanish architecture, and a real estate market that has consistently attracted serious buyers and serious money for decades. For the first quarter of 2026, Coral Gables is telling a cautiously positive story. More closings than a year ago, waterfront pricing moving in the right direction, and some interesting trends beneath the surface that every buyer and seller in this market should understand. Before we get into the numbers, let me set the table on what we're looking at in Coral Gables. Like other Miami neighborhoods that I cover, Coral Gables homes split into two categories: non-waterfront and waterfront. Non-waterfront is by far the dominant segment here, representing the vast majority of both active listings and closed sales, while the waterfront segment in Coral Gables is smaller, but it commands significantly higher prices, and the waterfront data tells its own distinct story this quarter. I'll walk you through both separately month by month, then give you a year-over-year comparison, and then the market snapshot. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete picture of where Coral Gables homes stand as we head into the second quarter. And now we'll look at the numbers. In this graph here, we're going to start with the month of January. 96 active listings, 71 are non-waterfront, 25 are waterfront. We like to highlight the waterfront homes in light blue. Going across the board, 24 closed sales, only one waterfront. Months of supply, you could see there, 3 and 25. Days on market at 51 and 95. This is why we separate the two, waterfront versus not waterfront. Look at the difference in pricing. A median price per square foot of $917. However, for the waterfront, $1,884, or double. Median price sold of the non-waterfront homes is at $2 million. Look at the price sold of the waterfront home, over $10 million, or 5 times the price of the non-waterfront. That's why we like to separate the two. Now look at February. Active listings jumped from 96 to 137. And let's take a peek at the active listings for March. 170. Active listings went from 96 to 137 to 170. Let me explain this. We found that most active listings towards the end of a year are set to expire on December 31st. Therefore, when January market hits, you have a lot of listings that fell off the market. Then, as the months go by, January, February, March, you always have this ramping up effect of listings as sellers re-enter the market and relist their properties. This is a normal function of the real estate market, not specific to Coral Gables. This is what happens. Now that we've explained that, you could be somewhat not alarmed between 96 in January and 137 in February and then 170 in March. Back to February, 137, 104 active listings on the non-waterfront, 33 on the water. And look at that. Closed sales kept up. They actually increased to 33, 31 and 2. Months of supply, 3 and 17. And look at the days on market. This tells you the strength of the market. You have 50 days for non-waterfront, and those two waterfront transactions, they sold within 61 days. Look at the pricing. 912 for non-waterfront, 1,400 for waterfront, 2 million for the median price sold, and $7.6 million for the waterfront properties that sold. Now March, 170 active listings, as we said, not too alarming given the ramping up effect of listings coming on the market. Closed sales was down slightly to 29. The breakdown was 25 and 4. So actually, highest number of waterfront sales happened in March, which is a good sign because you went from 1 to 2 to 4. Very good sign. Months of supply, 5 and 9. Days on market, 35 to 16. Price per square foot, look at that. For non-waterfront homes, $922, slightly increased a bit from the previous month, but waterfront homes transacted at $2,140 per square foot. Look at the median price sold, slightly down for non-waterfront homes to $1,867,000. Waterfront homes jumped up to $15,475,000. The trajectory for closed sales for waterfront homes, we like how it increased month over month. Look at that, from 1 to 2 to 4. That brought down the month of supply. That trajectory is exactly what you want to see in a market finding its footing. So we'll keep a close eye on this trend heading into the second quarter. And now we're going to take a step back and look at this first quarter, and we're going to compare it to last year's, to 2025's first quarter, to see if we can spot any trends here. Let's take a look at that now. Here we have the numbers looking at last year's first quarter versus this year's. And look at this, active listings slightly down. More importantly, active listings slightly down, but closed sales up. If you look at it, most of it is non-waterfront homes. That's bringing the months of supply down from 6 to about 5. Waterfront homes sitting at about 15 months. Days on market seems to be taking a little bit longer for both non-waterfront and waterfront. Pricing's essentially flat for non-waterfront homes, both on a median price per square foot and median price sold. However, waterfront, the median price per square foot did increase to $1,884 from $1,600, but the median price sold stuck just about the same at a little bit over $10 million. So some numbers here are good, some numbers are okay. This is why we said it's cautiously positive moving forward. However, prices seem to be holding, even though you had a higher number of closed sales, which is a clear sign that the market is healthy, even though it is taking a little bit longer to transact. Overall, as we said, first quarter of 2026 for Coral Gables, you had more closings, stable prices, improving waterfront supply. So overall, cautiously positive, but it seems to be heading in the right direction. And now we're going to show you our final graph, which is a snapshot of where the market stands for the first quarter, along with a breakdown of the price ranges of where all the activity is taking place in. Let's look at that now. And here we go. Here's our snapshot of it. We went over this already. 170 active listings, 135 of them non-waterfront, 35 are waterfront. The closed sales was 86 for the quarter. Of those, 7 were waterfront. There's your month of supply again, your days on market, your median price per square foot, and median price sold. Now we'll go to the graph below and see the numbers. Look at this. Only 8 closed sales out of the 86 were under $1 million. The most active price range here, as you could see, is $1 to $3 million. 53 out of the 86 closed sales were in that price range. And honestly, as we move up the price ranges, you have solid activity. 3 to 5 million, you have 9. 5 to 10, you have 10. 10 to 20, you have 5. And over 20 million, you did have 1 closed sale. So overall, pretty strong numbers across the board. It shows you the strength and the demand for single family homes in Coral Gables. We like to highlight the highest priced closed sale of the quarter. It was at $32 million. Yes, for a waterfront home on Tahiti Beach in Coco Plum. For those that don't know, Tahiti Beach is one of the most exclusive gated communities in all of Miami. It's a private island enclave that very rarely sees properties come to market. The home sits on almost 1 acre of land, and it was about a 10,000 square foot house. So it sold for just over $3,000 per square foot. If you're a buyer looking at Coral Gables homes that are not on the water, this is a market where you need to be ready to move fast, as 5 months of supply is pretty low, and about a 50-day average of time to sell and prices holding steady. That's a pretty good sign that the market moves fast, especially in the $1 to $3 million price range. It's clearly the most competitive. If you're looking for a waterfront home in Coral Gables, there's much less supply, but with 35 active listings, you do have options. However, 95 days on market at this price level shows that homes are selling pretty fast. If you're a seller of a non-waterfront home, the data is on your side. 79 closings in the quarter tells you buyers are active in Coral Gables. Pricing correctly from the start is key. 50 days on market proves that homes are moving very fast. For waterfront homes, price per square foot is up about 17% year over year, while median price is about flat. Even though there are a few more homes on the market now, sales seem to be keeping up. So we'll be watching this closely heading into the second quarter. That is your complete Coral Gables single family homes market update for the first quarter of 2026. Coral Gables, as you can see, is a market with depth, history, and real momentum heading into the rest of 2026. As I start my 20th year in the Miami real estate market, I can proudly say that our goal in making these videos is to help as many people as we can by sharing real market data to give you a better insight into the local market. If you found this useful, subscribe. Drop any questions in the comments. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.